Welcome back for another preview video. Today I'm going to talk about Colosseum. In Colosseum, each player takes the role of Roman impresario, producing dazzling spectacles in the arena to attract the largest crowds and earn lasting fame. This is the new upgraded version of Colosseum, where by upgrading their venue, players, impresarios are recruiting talented performers and trying to impress the powerful nobles, including the emperor himself. You will compete to earn the title of Grand Impresario with your name echoed across the empire. In this brand new version of Colosseum, everything is refurbished, everything is taken care from a different perspective, upgraded and refined, both in development and also in visuals and looks. Set in 80 AD, during the 99 days of inauguration of the Colosseum, the game unfolds as gladiators class exotic beasts prowl and musicians from every corner of the empire perform for the roaring crowd. Wow! A chilling experience. As Emperor Titus settles into their seat for their final day, all eyes turn to you, which is your moment to shine. This is the brand new version, as I said, of Colosseum. I'm going to add a link in the description of the video below where you can find out the campaign launching soon, if not already. And I'm going to explain the video, how it plays. I'm going to explain all the rules. If you haven't heard anything about Colosseum, you're going to see how the game plays, and I'm going to emphasize on the new things that they are in this refined version. And at the end of this video, I'm going to come back with my first impression of this new version. Colosseum The Grand Spectacle is a deluxe version of the beloved classic by Wolfgang Kramer and Markus Lübke. Developed by Johnny Pack. We love Johnny Pack. Everything that he put his hands in, from design to development, especially with what he does with Fantasia games, it's awesome. So I'm very happy with this let's say new version of deluxe version of Colosseum. The game comes with art from Maiko and Ian O'Toole, the two, I don't know, most amazing artists in the genre or in the industry, or at least two of my favorite one. They both have fantastic art, and you can see it in this game as well. Returning fans can also play with the original rules. If you like the original set of rules, you can play, but you can play also with a new module, which is the Lion, which created by Wolfgang Kramer, and it's developed by Johnny Pack, adding a lion figure and a fresh gameplay twist with a bit more tech than what the game already has. So, if you had the original game, like me, from Days of Wonder, and you want an improved, both visually but also from gameplay, refined and much more easy and fast flow game of Colosseum, I think this is something that you need to check it out. So I would invite you to join me at the table. First of all, see how the game plays. Again, I'm going to add timestamps in the description of the video where you can find out more and jump directly to each specific section of the rules that you're interested in, or you can go directly at the end of this video for my final wrap-up, conclusion and first impressions for what it makes this version of Colosseum the ultimate version to have. This new edition introduces several major changes. Just to mention a few, the game now plays in 4 rounds instead of 5, requiring a rebalanced economy and faster arc. Players share a central Colosseum, contributing to their own gates instead of having separate individual arenas. New event tiles have been added. Star performers are now screen-printed meeples, with 6 new characters added in the mix, and the introduction of Mercury Pawn refines bidding and trade interactions by the use of it. Players also build Temples of Fortuna around the board and manage upgraded player boards to score points and organize assets. Every element in this version has been carefully reworked, and I have full trust both in Fantasia games in terms of development, but also in Johnny Pack for what he does. He does great. This new version brings a modern classic back to life while preserving the spirit of what it made it favorable to all the fans, myself included. So, join me at the table and let's see what's new in Colosseum The Grand Spectacle. In Colosseum The Grand Spectacle, you're a Roman impresario producing great spectacles at the legendary Epitrapaizoume Flavium, for the people of the ancient Rome, of course. Over the course of 4 rounds, you compete with your opponents for acclaim and riches, which you invest in turn in promoters, expand your troupe of performers, and put on ever more ambitious events. Though canny trading and careful planning can help you, you will also need to attract influential nobles and win the gifts of the Emperor to further cement your reputation and power. Win the most acclaim and you will be granted the title of Grand Impresario, spreading tales of your extraordinary spectacles throughout the Empire and into eternity, of course. Before doing anything else, let's first familiarize ourselves with the game components. First of all, we have the game board, which you see in front of you. This is a very nice illustrated game board. Generally, the game has fantastic art from Miko and Ian O'Toole. We love the new art, we love the new details. You will explore them together with us throughout the course of this demonstration, but also through pictures and from the page, the crowdfunding page on GameFund, which I'm adding in the link in the description below. We also have two sideboards. Focus on this sideboard, which is a bit thinner, and the one on top, which is a bit thicker. These are used for organizing the spectacles, large spectacles and medium spectacles respectively, but also as a storage for coins, performers, promoters and additional tokens. We have 5 impresario boards. You see one already assembled here. It's consisted of 2 pieces. You put them together and you make your player board. We'll go later more detail on the anatomy of those, but for the moment just check. You just click them together, and then once you put them together, they make your player board. It has your player color board at the bottom, as you can see, this for the blue player. It has very useful information on the tiles. This tile exists 24 times in the bag, while all the rest exists 12 times in the bag. And there are also some nice reminders on acclaim that you earn and some additional areas for your spectacles that you're performing. But overall, this is one of the 5 player boards, and each player gets one of them in front of them during setup. We have the first player token, which is this token, and from the rulebook I have in the draft rulebook I have in front of me, I can see that there is also a miniature, so I'm guessing that this is going to be some kind of stretch goal or unlock, which you'll find out more through the campaign. In addition to that, we have one Mercury pawn. It's this pawn here. By the way, the pawns have been reworked and they look absolutely stunning. This is a Mercury pawn used for all the auctions, we'll see later. We have 7 noble pawns, 3 bronze, which are the senators, 2 silver, which are the consuls, and 1 golden, which is the emperor. And we also have 1 lion for the variant. This is, for example, the emperor, the gold. There is a single of that. And this is one of the 3 bronze we have. I've done a very detailed unboxing video on a separate video where you can find out more about the components, but these are the different nobles, 7 in total. We also have 34 spectacle tiles, 12 small. This is a small spectacle tile, for example, any of those. We have 10 medium. This is a medium spectacle tile. You can see that one side of the tile has the vibrant art, while the other side has the sepia art. When you acquire them, you buy them for the sepia side, and when you perform them, then you flip them face up, and you can also perform them again in the future. More on that later. In terms of organization, I'm going to discuss it during setup, but keep in mind that this sideboard has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2, 12 slots for the large spectacles, and across we have another sideboard which has 2 times 10 medium slots. You can only see the 5, and there are 5 from the opposite side. It's just you cannot see it on the screen, but there are 5 more of those from above. The game comes with 168 performer tiles. These are these tiles you see here. For example, these are the comedians. Okay, and there is great use of those during composing of performing the spectacles. We have this fantastic bag, which came in my prototype, and it's filled in with all the performer tiles. Okay, where you're going to be pulling out of it tiles and refreshing the market stalls. For example, this market stall, you know, and when you auction, you can either auction one of the markets, more on that later, and the 3 performer tiles included there. So 168 performer tiles in the bag. We have 12 star performer meeples. These are these meeples here, which could be all the things from gladiators to elephants and lions. These are custom silk printed, very nice illustrated star performers. okay, which will boost your performance for more victory points. We have 12 promoter meeples, which also grant you additional victory points, more on that later. We have 4 gift tokens, 1 through 4, okay, you can see them there, and they also denote the end of the game. We have 12 Aquila tokens. These are these tokens here, which have multi-use. You can acquire them from different ways, and you can use them from different things, which we're going to explain through the course of the game. And this is our placeholder on this board here, on this slot. And then we have the player pieces in the player colors. We have 5 Temples of Fortuna. These temples can be built and give advantages to the people who have built them, okay, on this. Actually, you build them next to your own gates, okay, but you only build 1 temple. And again, we have in total 5, 1 for each player color, just to show you the remaining ones, okay. We have 20 gates, 4 in each of the player colors, here just to show you one of the orange players' gates. They're also printed. We have 1 pillar for each player, which while it stands up, it means that you can participate in an auction, and when it's down, you cannot participate in an auction. Okay, it has very nice use, and it's also really big, and you can easily see if a player is in or out in an auction. We also have 5 Acclaim markers, again 1 in each player color. You can see them here. And they start at the 0 of the Acclaim track, which goes all the way around the main Colosseum board. We have 80 coins, 12 1 value, 15 3 value, 15 5 value, 15 10 value, and 15 20 value. Again, I've shown them in the unboxing video in detail. They have from one side the numerical value, from the other side really nice illustration. I'm really hoping they're going to have as an add-on metal coins. This is fantastic for this game. And again, you have a slot in both sideboards for having access to coins, as you can see here plus here. We have 2 dice, which, even though, as I mentioned in my unboxing video, I really like them, I got a note through the reviewers channel from Fantasia Games saying that they're going to be more easy to distinguish in the final production. There has been a mistake in the prototype. Okay, so this will stand out better than numerical values from the, let's say, blood and dirt, what it's on the dice, but you get the idea, and these are really nice in any way. We're going to have 2 of those. There's going to be the cloth back, which is fantastic, awesome, and very, very handy. I mean, I wouldn't have any other bag rather than this, which stands also flat, okay? You see, it has a big area at the bottom where you can stand flat, and then you can easily replenish with no hassle the market stalls. And there will be also some player rates, the rulebook, of course, solo and 2-player rulebook, and solo and 2-player additional components, okay, which I didn't get in this prototype. Now, there you have it. These are all the components of the game. The art, as I said, on the spectacles is amazing. Check out the unboxing prototype video. So there you have it. These are all the components. Now let's focus on setup. Setup. First, we place the game board within reach of all players. We place a noble pawn in each of the corresponding starting spaces on the spectator track. Senators in the bronze spots. This is a bronze spot where you get senators, the 3 bronze pawns. Then you have the consuls in the silver spaces. We have 2 such pawns and 2 such spaces. Okay. And then we have 1 single space for the emperor, which is the gold pawn, and it starts on the gold spot on the respective noble track. The track, as you can see, has different spots and goes all around the Colosseum outside of the perimeter of the gates of the Colosseum, which are these spots here. You have the noble track. Nobles will be moving clockwise in that direction, skipping the spots where they found other pawns in a clockwise fashion, but more on that later. The third thing that we do is we place the gift tokens numbered 1, 2, and 3 near the game board, face down in ascending order, such as that the token numbered 1 is on the top. Okay, we have those tokens from 1, 2, 3, 4, the gift tokens, and we place them here, somewhere close to the board. We make sure that value number 1 is on top. Next thing that we do is we set the two supply boards on opposite sides of the game board. That means one supply board is going to be on the left and one supply board is going to be on the right. Now, for purposes of fitting everything on the screen, I put both of the supply boards on the left to make sure that I don't need to move things around while I execute this video. But while I'm playing the game, I'm having one sideboard on the left side of the main board and one sideboard on the right side of the main board. Now place the on one of the wider sideboard, you will find and place there the star performers within this circle. All these are star performers, all the way from the lion to the gladiator to the elephant and so on. They go there. You know, once a player is eligible to pick up a star performer, they're going to be picking it up for the first time from that spot. After that, they may be grabbing it from another player, or it can be also returned back there and also acquired from that spot on the future turns. Now, the second thing that we put on this wider board, this is a wider sideboard, means wider, we have some coins here. Okay, we're going to have coins from both sideboards for easy access on the players. And then we take the 10 middle spectacles, middle size, we have small, medium, middle and large. Okay, so we take the ones with the middle size, the medium ones, there are 10 in total. We flip them so that the sepia art, which is on the back, as you can see here, is the one facing up. Okay, so this is called face down. Face up is with the non-sepia side. So we take the 10 medium ones and we place them on the slots. There are 5 slots from one side of the sideboard and 5 more slots on the other side. You see those standing tall, but again, it's a limitation of the table. They're going to be flat from either side of this wider sideboard for a total of 10 medium spectacles. On the slimmer sideboard, which again, for the last time I'm mentioning it, it's going to be one from one side and one from the other side of the main board. On the slimmer sideboard, you're going to have a spot for the Aquila tiles that you have here, a spot for the performer, pawns, and another spot for additional coins. It has 6 plus 6, 12. 6 plus 6, 12 slots for the large spectacles. Okay, these are larger tiles, the large spectacles, which award more victory points, more acclaim, etc. But they need also more performers, as you could imagine. And again, these are numbered. You're going to again be placing the large spectacles from the sepia side in each of the 10 of the 12 slots of the slimmer sideboard in a random fashion. Doesn't matter, okay, because this is the access, the offer, let's say, of the large ones. And last thing to note is both large and medium spectacles from either side, doesn't matter. Yeah, actually it's from the sepia side. They are numbered. So this is number 20. This is number, besides the title, which is unique, you know, the art and the performers, which is unique, they also have a unique number, both the large and the medium spectacles. The small spectacles are not numbered. These are the small spectacles, they're smallest tiles out of the 3 types. They don't have numbers, they have symbols. Okay, you have 3 for each type of symbol. You have 3, 3, 3 and 3. You set them aside for the moment. We're going to come back at the end. You're not placing them on the sideboards, the small ones. Just set them aside for the moment. Select an impresario board, assemble it together by putting the 2 pieces next to each other. Then take the 4 gates in your player color, the pillar and the Temple of Fortuna, and set it next to your impresario board. On top of that, you will take a reference card and a total of 30 coins from the supply in value. You start with 30 coins. Then you separate the starting performer tiles. The starting performing tiles have, I don't have any of those, oh, there it is. They have a darker color, as you can see, while the remaining ones have a lighter background. So this is starter, this is a regular. So you take the starter performer tiles, the ones which have a darker background, and depending on the number of players, you randomly give each player a set number of those starting tiles, no matter what they have from the face-up side. In a 3-player you draw 8 tiles, in a 4-player you draw 7 tiles, and in 5 players you draw 6 tiles for each player. Once this is done, you take and you assign the starting tiles on the respective top slot, matching the ones you drew from the bag. Any remaining ones, you put them back into the bag and shuffle them together with the starting ones, so you have a supply of performers for the course of the game. A quick note, during this node, when you pull starting performer tiles during setup, a player who has 3 or more of a performer type and has more than any other player also takes this corresponding star performer meeple from the supply. If you get, for example, 3 or more gladiators, 3 or more, I don't know, lions, and you have also more from any other player, that means if I have 3 or more lions, I would also take the starting performer, the star performer of the corresponding one. Now I need to have 3 and also more than any other player, then I will pick up the star performer, and this applies for any player who fulfills this condition. You add the regular performer tiles slide back to the game bag with the remaining starting tiles, if any, and shuffle it thoroughly. Then you fill each of the 5 markets in the Colosseum with 3 face-up tiles. This is a market, for example, it has 3 spots. You pull 3 tiles from the bag and place them to fill the market. You do the same for each of the markets, and then the center of the Colosseum will have performer tiles as an offer. Another quick note is that you do not include the 4 construction tiles, which are these tiles here, with the tiles that you put into the game bag. Place the game bag and the dice next to the board within easy access of all players. In reverse player order, take turns choosing 2 adjacent starting gate spaces showing a number of dots equal to the player count of the game that you're playing, placing 2 gates there. Place your Acclaim marker on the 0 space of the Acclaim track around the board and set your 2 remaining gates, Temple of Fortuna and Pillar, next to your Impresario board. In this case we're playing a 5-player game, so I locate 2 adjacent 5-player spots, meaning 5 dots, and I place 2 of my gates there. This is done in reverse order. The last step is very simple. We separate the small spectacles into 3 piles based on their icons. So we have this icon and that icon for a total of 3 plus 3, 6 in total between the 2 of them. We have 3 of those plus 3 of those. So we put those 2 together and we shuffle them and we create a large pile of 6 in total, and then we separately shuffle this pile and this pile with this icon. Once this is done, we take the large pile of 6 tiles, we randomly deal 1 pile to each of the players, and then a second tile. If they got this one, they will get from the 2 ones the matching one, so the reverse, blue dark border and light insert inside, and then the matching reverse second tile. So this is going to be a set for 1 player. Next player is going to take one of those and then a matching set from the other pile, okay, and so on. So depending on which one you're dealt from the large pile, you're going to get a matching second one from the second pile in order to get your starting sets for the 5 players. And once this is done, every player is going to end up with 2 tiles, which again, this is a front side once you have done the performing at least once, This is the sepia tile side when you haven't done any. You're going to start with a set of the two, and you're going to place them beneath your impresario board with the sepia side face down, and trying to start by performing them in the following round. You're now ready to play Colosseum The Grand Spectacle. Winning the game. In Colosseum The Grand Spectacle, you must produce spectacles to earn money and win the acclaim of the crowd. Recruit and trade performers, find top-tier talent, plant ever more exciting spectacles, and attract influential nobles to your section to best your rivals and receive gifts from the Emperor himself. After 4 rounds, the impresario who has reached the highest acclaim wins the game. Colosseum The Grand Spectacle is played over 4 rounds, each broken up into 5 phases. Phase 1, make investments. Phase 2, hire performers. Phase 3, trade performers. Phase 4, produce spectacles. And Phase 5, closing ceremonies. Players take their turn during each phase in player order, starting with the first player and proceeding clockwise. You may always keep your turn during any phase if you wish, and the game ends after Phase 4 of the 4th round, after which the player with the highest acclaim wins the game. Now, let's focus a bit on each phase separately. Phase 1, make investments. At the beginning of each round, players invest in their troupe, whether purchasing new spectacles to produce, hiring promoters, expanding their seating, or paying homage to Fortuna. On your turn, you may make 2 investments from the following options: paying the listed amount of coins, of course, from your impresario board to the bank, and you may only purchase each type of investment once per turn. For example, you may not purchase 2 gates or 2 spectacles in the same turn. All investments are component limited. If the relevant supply no longer has the component you wish to buy, you may not make that investment. For example, once you have built both your additional gates, you may not invest in gates again anymore. That's it. That being said, let's see on what you can do your investments. One thing you can invest on is gates. You have 2 gates already on the game board, and you have 2 additional gates next to your impresario board. This is 10 coins, so you have a max of 2 additional ones for a total of 4 on board once you place them. Okay? By purchasing additional gates, you increase your footprint in the Colosseum, pay 10 coins to the bank, then choose an available gate from your impresario board and place it in an empty space adjacent to one of your existing gates. That means I pay 10 coins and I either place it here or here. Okay? Expanding my consecutive gates, which are one adjacent to the other. I cannot choose as a second investment during this investment phase to purchase another gate for another 10 coins, but on a future turn I can again spend 10 coins to place my second gate from the 2 that I have next to my board, and have 4 of them in total next to the Colosseum. As I mentioned, adding gates allow you to perform larger spectacles, increase the chances of getting nobles in your section when you produce spectacles. That means more acclaim. Another investment you can do for the 2 you have during this phase is promoters for 7 coins. These are the promoters. By hiring promoters, you increase the acclaim you earn each round. You pay 7 coins to the bank, then take 1 promoter meeple from the supply and place it on the promoter space on your impresario board, which is here. Each promoter that you have adds you +5 acclaim when you perform a spectacle, but more on that later. Another investment you can do is spectacles, which varies. By purchasing new spectacles, you can put on grander productions and win greater acclaim. Choose a spectacle from the supply. It costs in coins, it's shown on the spectacle, its cost, and you need to pay that to the bank, and place it face down with the sepia side showing below your impresario board together with any others you may have. An important note is that you also need additional gates if you want to perform medium or large spectacles. Medium spectacles number 1 to 10 require 3 gates to perform, and large spectacles require number 11 to 22 require 4 gates in order to perform, so you need to budget accordingly. As you see, as I'm here, let's say I only have 2 gates, I can either buy medium, nor large spectacles. But as long as I have built my third gate, I'm able to buy medium spectacles, in this case paying 21 coins to the bank and getting this and placing it beneath my player board. Later on, when I place my fourth gate, so I have 4 in total, I'm allowed to buy, in addition to that, large spectacles for the price again on the tile and place it from the sepia side, like before, below my player board. The last option for investment that I have for the 2 investments during this phase is the Temple of Fortuna, which is 5 coins, and you can maximum have 1 Temple of Fortuna. By paying tribute to Fortuna, the goddess of chance, you benefit from the whims of fate more than others. Pay 5 coins to the bank, then place your Temple of Fortuna in the space closest to your gates on the game board. This is your Temple of Fortuna, and by paying 5 coins, the space closest to my gates is this one. I will be placing it, for example, here for the orange player. With the Temple of Fortuna, you may treat your dice rolls when moving numbers as a range rather than a set number. A result, for example, of 3, let's say I rolled a 3 in one of my dice, I will treat it as it was 1, 2, 3, meaning I can either move 1, 2, or 3. Okay? And this applies to both of your dice. This of course gives you far greater control over how nobles move when you produce spectacles, which is very important to gaining additional acclaim. Phase 2. Hire performers. Next, players hire groups of performers to enact their grand spectacles: gladiators, comedians, fire eaters, charioteers, or even lions and ships. Starting with the first player, which has the first player token, and proceeding clockwise, players take turns running auctions and bidding for lots of performer tiles. On your turn, choose whether you wish to conduct an auction or end your turn. If you end your turn, play immediately passes to the next player in clockwise order. If you conduct an auction, take the Mercury pawn, which is this one, to indicate that you have become the active player. Place the Mercury pawn next to a market containing 3 performer tiles of your interest. This is the active lot. Let's say I'm interested, for example, in, let me check my tiles, let's say this one. So I'm placing it next to this market stall. Then I make an opening bid of 8 or more coins for the active lot. That means I indicate that I want this lot, and I make an opening bid of 8 or even more. Doesn't matter, but at least 8 coins. Then, in clockwise order, each player with standing pillar. Standing pillar means your pillar is like that, not face down. This is a standing pillar. This is a dropped pillar. Each player with a standing pillar chooses whether to raise the bid or pass. A player whose pillar is on its side or who cannot afford to raise must pass. A player who passes cannot bid again for this lot. Keep in mind that you may treat your Aquilas, these are the Aquilas tiles, if they are each 6 coins when determining whether you can bid for performers. You may also exchange an Aquila for 6 coins at any time, including after winning a lot. Bidding continues in clockwise order until all but one player has passed. The winner then pays the bid to the bank, collects the active lot by, let's say, taking the tiles of interest. It could be the person who indicated the interest initially there, or another one who outbid him or her. The one who has the highest bid will win the lot, the active lot. Let's say in this case the blue player, who has this pillar in front of them, managed to win the active lot by outbidding everyone else. They will collect the performer tiles, as I did before, and they will drop their pillar in front of them to indicate that they have won an auction. If you won the active lot, your turn ends. Return the Mercury pawn, meaning if the orange player has won, their turn ends. Okay? They will return the Mercury pawn to the center of the Colosseum and refill all empty markets with 3 tiles drawn from the bag. Here, here, and here. Then all players stand their pillars back up and play passes to the next player in clockwise order. If you did not win the active lot, restart the process, choosing whether to end your turn or conduct another auction at a different market. If you end your turn, perform the steps that we discussed before in the sequence described. Place all performer tiles you collect in any case that you want them during the phase that I described, or above the corresponding spaces on the impresario board. Let's say I want those. That means I'm going to place the gladiators on the gladiator spot. If I have any other, they're going to be on top. The charioteers on the charioteer spot. I didn't have any before. And horses, I already had one, so now it's my second one. Okay? Keep in mind that the amount of performers you have, it's public information. Everybody can see what you have in front of you, waiting to be used in spectacles. So both the number and the type of the performer tiles you have is public information. If at any time, like here, this was my third gladiator, if at any time you have most of a particular type of performer, you also collect the star performer meeple. Okay? In this case, and more than any other player. I need to have at least 3 and more than any other player, then I would collect the star performer meeple. Okay? Which will give me bonus, more on that later. Once all players have completed their turns, we proceed to phase 3. Now, a word on star performers. Remember? These are the star performers on the sideboard. As you play, your troop develops in talent by collecting performers and eventually discovering the new stars of Colosseum. Whenever you have at least 3 copies of a type of performer, like in this case with the gladiator for example, and more of that tile than any other player, immediately you take the matching performer meeple from the sideboard, either from the sideboard or from an opponent if it was there before. And star performers can change hands at any time and in any phase, most typically when players gain performer tiles in phases 2 and 3 or lose performer tiles in phases 5. You will lose a star performer as soon as an opponent exceeds the number of performer tiles you have of that type. So if someone else gets their 3rd gladiator, I'm not going to lose my star performer. But when they get the 4th and I still have 3, they will take it from me. Okay? Also, if you have 2 or less performers of that type, for any reason I drop from 3 gladiators, typically after giving a performance on a spectacle, to 2, I'm not longer allowed to maintain the star performer and I need to return it to the sideboard. What's the benefit of having star performer meeples, you ask? A star performer rewards you with +4 acclaim when you produce a spectacle including that type of performer. So more acclaim for specific spectacles that include them. Some quick auction tips. There are 24 gladiator tiles and 12 of any other performer tile available during the game. These values are printed on your impresario board for reference. Missing the opportunity to purchase performers severely hampers your ability to trade performers and produce spectacles later in the round. Aspire to always have at least 8 to 10 coins at the beginning of this phase to ensure that you can expand your options for trade and spectacles. It is common to conduct more than one auction on your turn, particularly when your opponents are wealthy, leaving you your most desired markets for later auctions. When there are fewer opponents to bid against, and they may let you to get those tiles for less money. Try not to spend all your money on your own turn. You have more chances to win auctions during opponent turns than your own, so having some coins available presents ripe opportunities to pick up extra performers. Having more performer tiles than you need is useful, since you will be able to trade them to other players for what you may need yourself. Phase 3. Trade performers. In this phase, players cut deals with one another, swapping performers, money and aquillas to realize their grand plans. Starting with the first player who has the first player token and proceeding clockwise. In this turn, players take turns trading with each other. On your turn, take the Mercury pawn again in front of you to indicate that you're the active player. Then you may freely negotiate deals with other players, subject to following rules. The active player directs all trades. They may solicit, make or receive offers of trade, include or exclude any opponents you wish from a trade, and choose when to cease negotiation and attempt to close a deal. All trades must include the active player, who has the Mercury pawn. While players can triangulate a trade, for example, a deal where the active player gives a tile to one opponent who pays money to another opponent and then gives the active player a tile that they want. Opportunities cannot conclude side deals, which do not include the active player. Players may only trade performer tiles, coins, Aquila tokens, or promises. Acclaim and any other components like spectacles or gift tokens, star performers and promote meeples, or pieces in a player color can never be traded. Only trades executed during your turn are binding. Promises of future actions or loans to be repaid in future turns can be offered but do not have to be honored. No player can be forced to trade. All parties must agree to the terms before a deal is closed and components exchange hands. You may end your turn at any time you like. This may include ending your turn without making any trades at all. Add all your performer tiles, coins and Aquila tokens gained to your impresario board and confirm no star performers need to change hands due to the change of number of tiles in front of some players. Then the next player in clockwise order takes their turn. Once all players have completed their turn, we're ready to proceed with phase 4. But before we proceed with phase 4, let me give you some trading tips. Don't drag this phase out too long. In most cases, 3 to 4 minutes a player is more than enough that they need in order to reach the deals to make in the round. Trading is much about social interaction as much as it is about math. Table talk, handling and back and forth is all part of the game, so speak up and have fun. While tiles are often the most important thing you can trade for, trading for money or Aquilas can also be very useful to set yourself up for future rounds. Don't forget, star performers can move as a result of trading performer tiles. Reminding a potential trade partner your offer of a tile can win them a star performer, as well as perfectly legitimate and smart negotiating tactic. While deals don't always have to be equitable, you must always be fair to the players. Don't speak over or dismiss your opponents, keep side talk to a minimum, and invite new or shy players to get into negotiations on their own terms. No one wants to play with a bully. So, these are some small trading tips that are useful for the phase 3 of trading performers. Phase 4, produce spectacles. Next, players choose and perform a spectacle for the spectators and noble guests, winning them money and acclaim in the bloody sands of the Colosseum. Starting with the first player and proceeding clockwise, players take a turn to produce one of their spectacles in the following way. Step 1. Move nobles. On each player's turn, 1 or 2 nobles, senators, consult or the emperor, move clockwise around the Colosseum, mingling with the plebeians. At the beginning of your turn, roll the 2 dice. These are these dice here. You're going to roll them, and depending on the numbers you have, you will be able to either move 1 noble pawn, the result of 1 die, and a different noble pawn, the result of the other die, in this case 4 one pawn and 5 another pawn, okay? Or move a single noble pawn for the sum of both dice, so 5 plus 4, 9, so I can use all 9 movements to move a single pawn of my choice. That would be with the total sum. If you've built your Temple of Fortuna, and that's why it's important to have your Temple of Fortuna built, you can treat each dice as a range of 1 until the present value instead of the fixed number. That means I'm not required to move 1, 4, another 5. I can move 1 pawn 1 to 4 and another pawn 1 to 5, okay? Or 1 to 9 in total for a single pawn, up to me. That's very useful, especially because it will give you flexibility in order to set yourself best, which has for having nobles in front of your own color gates to award you additional acclaim when you perform the spectacle, because they're going to witness the spectacle that you're going to perform. Move the chosen noble a number of spectacles clockwise along the noble track. They always move clockwise. So let's say in this case I have rolled 4 and a 5. That means I can gain this silver console and move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Place it here in front of me in a clockwise fashion, okay? Or I can use it in any other, legitimate combination, depending on your dice rolls and your Fortuna Temple, so that you have nobles in front of your gates, so that they will be able to witness your spectacle. Spaces occupied by a noble pawn are skipped. So, for example, in this case, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if I want to use the full fixed number. Let's say I didn't have any Fortuna Temple. Okay? After moving nobles, you may then spend Aquila tokens to move any noble up to 3 spaces. So that's another nice use of these Aquila tokens. You can spend them instead of 6 coins, which are valued, to move for 3 spaces. So let's say I had one more. I would spend it and move 1, 2, 3. This bronze noble as well. Note that this is the only way to move a noble counterclockwise, because you can spend Aquila to move it clockwise, but also you can spend the Aquila token to move it counterclockwise. Okay, this is doesn't make any sense for this case, but let's say this goes here. Okay, now in this case it will be more useful to spend the Aquila token. So I spend 9 to move this one here, and I spend another Aquila token to make it more realistic to move this one counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3. So I have 2 silver nobles in front of my gates for more acclaim points. Moving nobles counterclockwise is only allowed by spending Aquila tokens. That's the only way. You cannot move them by using your dice without spending an Aquila token. In addition, through this process, if you have a noble ending on one of the spaces with Aquila token, you simply, in addition to that, earn an Aquila token. Unless you use it, you cannot spend an Aquila token to move it 3 and then gain an Aquila token. Okay, you need to use them from a dice, so 1, 2, 3, let's say, in one of the dice, and then because it ended up on an Aquila token during my turn, I would also earn myself 1 Aquila token. If a noble is at one of your gates, when you perform a spectacle, you will gain additional acclaim depending on their importance. Okay, you can see that a bit here as well, more on that later, but the Emperor awards +7, the Silver awards +5, and the Bronze awards +3. So in this case I have 2 silver in front of me, 2 consul. They will give me 5 + 5 for a total of +10 acclaim points. On top of the acclaim points I'm going to win for the spectacle itself, etc. Plus promoters, plus whatever I have. So, to wrap up, we are under phase 4, produce spectacles. Step 1 is move nobles. Step 2 is choose a spectacle. Next, announce a spectacle, face up or face down. It could be one face down, a sepia one, or let's say you have already performed one in a previous turn and it's face up. You can even choose a previously performed a spectacle to perform again. But it has a disadvantage. Let me explain. Once you announce a spectacle, face up or face down, that you wish to perform, you may only choose a spectacle for which you have the minimum required gates and performers. A spectacle size of small requires 2 gates and a minimum 1 performer. A spectacle size of medium requires a minimum of 3 gates and 5 less than shown performers. And the spectacle size large requires 4 gates and a minimum of 6 less than shown performers. Okay? If you have, for example, let's say this tile that you want to perform, you need to perform it with 2 musicians, 3 fire eaters, 3 don't remember what this is, let me check how it's called. This is the priests, yeah, and 12 scenery, and this is the scenery builder, so 2, 3, 3 and 1. Okay, so I need, first of all, this is a medium tile. I need to have 3 gates and it's shown here. Do I have them? Yes, that means I can continue. Do I have the minimum amount of required performers? For a medium tile, as I mentioned, you need to have at least 5 less than shown. It has a total of 2 plus 3, 5 plus 4, 9. So I can have even 4, 5 less than the 9. Okay, but for each one missing, I will gain less than the total one. If I have 2, 3, 3 and 1, I will gain the full value of 25. For each one missing, I'm going to decrease this value on the tile, as shown here. But I'm getting ahead of myself because this is part of step 3, which is perform the spectacle and win acclaim. Let's say for this example I'm choosing to perform the cavalry of Spartacus, which is this one. It requires 3 gladiators and 3 horses. Okay, so I'm selecting during step 2 the spectacle that I want, and you place the chosen spectacle face up in the leftmost portion of your impresario board, and then you move to step 3. So this will go here, indicating that this is the spectacle I'm trying to perform. Okay, and I move to step 3, which is perform the spectacle and win acclaim. Now, perform your chosen spectacle to win money and acclaim. Calculate your winnings by following the track at the bottom of your impresario board in order. Okay, that means that first of all you have the spectacle itself in focus. Confirm whether you can meet the full performer requirements of your chosen spectacle. If you have the full amount of gate, the acclaim shown in the large circle, if you have the full amount, then you gain the acclaim shown on the full circle as a reward. Do I have 3 gladiators and 3 horses? I do have 3 plus 3. That means I'm going to earn 12 acclaim, the full amount of the reward. If you cannot meet the full performer requirement, you gain an amount of an acclaim corresponding to the number of performers missing. For example, if you're missing 3 performers, so 1, 2, 3, I'm going to earn 5 acclaim instead of 12. Let me show it a bit close so that you can see. Let's say I didn't have 3 plus 3. Let's say I was missing 3. I only had 3 horses. That means instead of 12, I'm going to earn 1, 2, 3, minus 3, 5. So instead of 12, 5 acclaim. Okay, I can still perform it, but it will award me less acclaim as shown on the bar. Keep in mind that the Balatro tiles, these tiles here, these are wild tiles and can fill any role of any performer type. Next, once we've checked that, okay, we move to this, we go from left to the right. So from here we go here. This is previous performances. You gain plus 5 acclaim for each face-up color spectacle beneath, not sepia, beneath your impresario board which you have previously performed. Doesn't matter of the size, medium, small or large. For each one performed, which is face-up, you earn plus 5. You gain no acclaim for unperformed face down sepia. So in this case this doesn't award me any additional acclaim, but this one I have, let's say, successfully performed before, so I would gain on top of the 12 plus 5 for this one. If I had both of them performed, it will be plus 10. Okay, then from here I move here. These are the star performers. You gain plus 4 acclaim for each star performer you have matching a performer type in your spectacle. You gain no acclaim for star performers whose performer type cannot be used in this spectacle. In this case I'm very lucky because I have both the gladiator and the horses. That means I will get plus 4 for the gladiator participating here, plus 4 for the horse participating in here, for a total of plus 8. Okay, but if it was just like that, if I didn't have that star performer, I would only gain plus 4 for the gladiator. Then, moving here, the nobles. Gain bonus acclaim for each noble at one of your gates. Plus 7 acclaim for emperor, the golden one, plus 5 from the consul, the silver one, and plus 3 from the senator, the bronze one. In this case I have 2 silver, 2 consul. So that means plus 5, so 5 and 5 another 10. So plus 10 acclaim in this case. Then we go to the promoters. You gain plus 5 acclaim for each promoter meeple that you have. In this case 5 plus 5 plus 5, a total of additional 15. You also gain plus 3 acclaim for each gift token you have collected. Let's say I have collected this gift, it will give me plus 3. Okay, and that's shown here. And as an optional, you spend Aquilas. You may spend any number of Aquila tokens to gain plus 3 acclaim for each token spent at this step. Okay, you need to commit to it. Keep in mind that if the acclaim scored is higher than your marker current position on the acclaim tracker, you move it to the new higher score, placing it on top of any markers that might be on some positions. your acclaim marker will never move backwards. If you generated less acclaim than your current position on the track, it remains in its higher previous position. It doesn't drop down. Okay, this is, let's say, your maximum acclaim you have executed at one of the rounds. Finally, you gain, in addition to the acclaim, money from the bank equal to the acclaim you generated this turn. Once you have collected the money, then the next player clockwise, in clockwise order, takes their turn. Okay, so let's say in this case I had 12 plus 5, 17, plus 8, 25, plus 10 for the two consul, 35, plus 15, 40, 50 if I'm counting correctly. Okay, and let's say I gave 3 Aquila tokens, so 65. That would be my new amount. I would take my scoring marker and place it to, if it's higher than my previous, let's say before I had 55 and now I generated 65, I will move it upwards. If previously I have generated 70 and now I did 65, I will leave it where it was in the highest previous acclaim reach, which was 7 in this case, but here let's say I did 65. Okay, that's it. Once all players have taken a turn or passed, the player with the highest acclaim takes a gift token and adds it to their impresario board. This is how you gain the acclaim, the gift tokens. In the event of a tie for highest acclaim, the tied player with the bottommost acclaim marker wins the gift. If there are no gift tokens left to take, the game instead ends. Otherwise, we proceed with phase 5. Phase 5, closing ceremonies. With the day's game finished, the most successful impresario is blessed by the emperor and the players manage their troops before starting the next round. This phase consists of 3 steps, performed in order. First, retire a performer and wrap spectacle. In turn order, each player who produced the spectacle this round chooses one performer tile used in the performance that they gave and remove it from the game. Then move that spectacle below their impresario board. So let's say before, you know, I had 3 gladiators and 1 horse. That means I will need to remove either one gladiator or 1 horse. Okay, remove it from the game, and I will take the spectacle face up and place it below my impresario board. Okay, remember that discarding performers may also change control of star performers. In this case, I have 3, which is less than the required, and 2, which is less than the required. Okay, or I could have let's say 4 when it's less than you know, the other player who also had 5. Okay, so if I don't fulfill the requirement, my star performer goes back to the supply in this case, because I have 2 and one has more. So this previously performed spectacle, because now it's face up, will give 5 acclaim for any future spectacles performed. You see, this is face up, face up, face up, so I'll get 5, 10, 15 in total, 15 on top of what I did before. Then keep in mind that if you want to keep track of tiles that have come out of and are still available, instead of removing the performer tiles from the game, place them face up somewhere so that you can count what you know, tiles have been removed from the game and you know what to expect. Next step is the least acclaimed steals performer. Next, the player with the lowest acclaim, in this case it would be the beige player here, which is behind with 30 acclaim only, will be the one who has the lowest acclaim in total. Will steal a performer tile from the player who has the highest acclaim, which means it can be any of the tiles. In this case, let's say the red player was the one who has the highest acclaim, like you see in front of you. Then the beige player, when we decide to steal one, let's say they wanted an elephant, they will take it and add it on their impresario board. Okay. Keep in mind that stealing performers in this way may affect the victim's star performers, so they may lose star performers if they had them. based on the requirement. Only one player may be the least acclaimed. In the event of multiple players that are tied for the lowest acclaim, the tied player whose marker is at the top of the stack is considered to be the least acclaimed. Third and last step of phase 5, closing ceremonies, is the least acclaimed chooses the first player. Next, the least acclaimed player, again the one with the least acclaim points, will declare which player, which may also be themselves, will be the first player for the next round. The new first player takes and places the first player marker in front of them, and keep in mind as a tip that going later in the turn is not always a disadvantage. The first player has assurances about their options, like which spectacles they'll be able to buy or whether they can get nobles to their gates, but are also stuck with bidding on the performer tiles that they can see at the end of the round. Consider going later if you don't need to be the first to buy or move nobles, or don't like the tiles that you've seen in the market. So there you have it. This is the end of phase 5. End of the game. The game ends at the end of the 4th round, when no player can take a gift at the end of phase 4, or players with Aquila tokens remaining immediately return them to the supply, gaining 3 acclaim for each return. Then compare the position of the acclaim track. The player who has the most acclaim is declared the great impresario and wins the game. In case of a tie for most acclaim, the tied player with the most money wins the game. If there is still a tie, the tied player with the most star performers wins the game, and if there's still a tie that remains, the tied player with the bottom most acclaim marker wins the game. So there you have it. This is how you end a session in Colosseum The Grand Spectacle. There are some additional rules. For example, performer tiles and star performers. You can easily refer to the rulebook to identify which performer tile relates to which star performer. So this is for the charioteers, for example. You have the lions, you have the comedians, you have the decorators, you have the elephants, you have the priests, you have the musicians, you have the scenery builders, the blue ones. These are the blue ones, sorry. These are the scenery builders. You also have the gladiators, which are the only ones which are 24 instead of 12 for the rest of the type of tiles. You have the fire eaters, the ship masters, okay, and the horses. And don't forget, you may also find in the bag the balatros, which can be used as any performer. You also have 6 Aquila performer tiles, which immediately you discard and collect an Aquila token instead, and that's it. And what about the reminder about the balatro tiles? These special tiles are called wild and can be used in place of any performance type when performing in spectacle. However, as a jack of all trades, balatros have no associated star performer and are not wild for any other purpose. You cannot include them when determining if you may take a star performer meeple, for example. Okay, but they can be useful to complete or get more acclaim during a spectacle. The star performers. We mentioned the star performers, and there are several of those. Whenever you have at least 3 copies of any performer and more than that tile of any other player, immediately you take the matching star performer meeple, either from the game board or from an opponent. You lose a star performer as soon as you no longer have the majority of tiles of that type. For example, you have 4 gladiators and you lose the gladiator star performer as soon as the opponent has 5 or more gladiator tiles. Immediately give the star performer to the player who now holds the majority of that performer tile, and if 2 or more players are tied for the new majority, return the star performer to the game board instead. If you are reduced to 2 or fewer performer tiles holding of the corresponding star performer token, then another player has both 3 or more than the majority of that performer type, you return the star performer meeple to the game board. A star performer rewards you +4 acclaim when it is used to produce a spectacle, including that type of performer. Okay? A word about the Aquilas. These Aquila tokens. The Aquila, the Eagle tokens are multi-use tokens that you may spend for bonuses at several points in the game. You can gain them in phase 2 by purchasing a lot, including an Aquila tile. In phase 3 by trading for them with an opponent. And in phase 4 by landing on an Aquila space while moving nobles. When you gain Aquila tile in phase 2, immediately remove that tile from the game and take an Aquila token from the supply. Aquilas do not have a coin value, but they are considered to be worth 6 coins each when determining whether you may make an opening bid or raise a bid for hiring performers. You may also spend an Aquila in different ways, as you can see here, captured on your player board, on the right side of your impresario board, during making an investment in phase 1 or after winning an auction in phase 2 to gain 6 coins. When moving a noble in phase 4 to move up to a noble up to 3 spaces clockwise or counterclockwise. Remember, that's the only way to move under counterclockwise a noble. When performing a spectacle in phase 4 to gain 3 additional acclaim, or at the end of the game to gain 3 additional acclaim. Return all spent Aquilas to the supply, and Aquilas are considered unlimited. If you run out of tokens, use a suitable substitute. And that's all you need for the additional rules. The game Colosseum The Grand Spectacle also comes with a module, the Lion Rampart, which includes a lion token. When placing pawns on the board, place the lion pawn on 1 space clockwise from the Emperor's starting space. And as gameplay, while playing with the lion, you would be confronted with some interesting choices. Okay, it's a token that you don't want to have in front of you, and these are of course described in the rulebook. I'm not going to go in detail in describing the lion module, but it's an interesting module which also increases player interaction in addition to the already great player interaction the game comes with. And not to mention that this new version comes also with a 2-player module or mode, which we're looking forward to try out when it's available, and a solo mode, which sounds great. So there you have it. This is everything you need to know on Colosseum The Grand Spectacle. Hope you got a really good understanding on how the components work, how the game works, and let's now move back up for my final impressions of the game. So there you have it. This is Colosseum The Grand Spectacle. First of all, let's focus on the obvious one, the elephant in the room. And I'm not talking about a star performer tile, I'm talking about the obvious in the development of the game. This brand new game, this brand new version of the favorite game brings some really quick perks. Set aside the stunning visuals, the beautiful art, the refined components and everything which is upgraded and buffed and really looks gorgeous in my opinion, but that's a personal taste. Everybody can see for themselves and make their own opinion. I've made a separate detailed unboxing video where you can focus on the components as always and see for yourself this advanced prototype. But keep in mind that this is an advanced prototype, means more changes are going to be announced in terms of more things unlocked. You have to follow the link in the description of the video of the Game Found campaign page and find out, as always, what goodies Fantasia Games has in the books for us. That being said and set aside, we have to focus on the 2 new great additions in the game. I love the original one. It's one fantastic auction bidding game with a great system, great economy, simple rules, yet very interesting, challenging. It has nice management, nice set collection management or tile performer management, nice and great game flow, but it had the player count from 3 to 5 players. That means you couldn't play it with 2 players, and nowadays, most importantly, you couldn't play it solo. It's a bit difficult to ask for a solo game for an auction bidding game, but there you have it. This version offers it. And even though I didn't get a chance to try the solo, I'm very excited about getting a version with a solo mode, and I have full trust in the development of Fantasia from the previous titles. Everything I've played from them was fantastic. Okay, so they're going to make a robust solo, I'm sure about it, and I'm going to come back after I've tried it and tell you my opinion on it. But having a solo in such a great all-time classic, it's a really, really great improvement to begin with. On top of that, having a 2-player mode. Sometimes for these auction games you really need to have a crowd. Having a functioning, robust 2-player mode is also a welcome addition. On top of that, the fact that the game now lasts only 4 rounds instead of 5 makes the game faster, with better fast flow, and also makes it more easy for the players to get into, to enjoy the play session and play more sessions. This is a game that I've played a lot in the past. I haven't played it for a while. I'm talking about the original classic one. You can still play the classic one, but I think that I'm never going to play it again with the classic rules. I'm going to prefer to play it with, you know, the 4 rounds instead of the 5, and with the new tweaks and perks that this version brings. I also enjoy the Lion module, which is a module which adds a bit more interaction and take that than what the original game offered, which is quite a lot as well to begin with. And all in all, if you like auction bidding games, this is a game that you should definitely check it out. If you like thematic games with simple rules, this is a game that brings a lot of theme on the table. And I'm talking about, you indeed manage your troop, you're indeed managing your performers, you know, the star performers, the promoters that you have, you know, trying to position yourself, like in the previous one, in the classic one, in front, the nobles in front of your gates to gain additional victory points. It's something that you should target and go after. All in all these things, all the good things I'm trying to say that they worked in the old classic one, they're still here. They're just refined and tuned for a much greater gaming experience, so that you can continue enjoying Colosseum The Grand Spectacle in 2025-26 moving forward, with fast flow, with great components, great production, and amazing, stunning visuals. All in all, very, very excited to get a fantastic favorite classic with solo mode, with new upgraded components, with additional variants, and what else? We'll have to find out by following the campaign what else Fantasia Games has in the stores for us, and I'm sure they always come with more things during their campaigns. Everything seems to be excited, everything brings more gameplay value, so I'm very happy to see what's next by following the campaign. So, hope you enjoyed this video, hope you got a good understanding of how the game plays. I hope I gave you good emphasis on the differences from the old classic one, if you own, like myself, the old classic one, and what changes in this new version. So, many thanks for watching, and come back to our channel for another video in the future. So thanks and have a great time.